Turn me up just a little bit. Yeah, it's that man space vibe. Step in the zone, microphone check. Russ and Les got the real intellect. Talk smooth like jazz on a late night set. With a convo deep and the topics connect. From the struggles to the wins, they address it with grace. Drop lines so cool, you can feel the bass. Two kings of the craft, and you know the rest. Kick back, pour a drink, welcome to the space. You go chillin' with Russ and Les. You go chillin' with Russ and Les. You go chillin' with Russ and Les. Hang out, cause now you vibing with nothing but the best. Space forever.
Welcome to another edition of the Manspace Podcast. Now, this is the voice of Russ, and with me, as always, well, he's not here, Manspace Nation. He's got a little tummy ache from all the Girl Scout cookies he's been eating over the last few days. So I am without my co-host, but we know he'll be back soon. Hopefully, he got a little Pepto and he'll be all right. So on that note, Manspace Nation, I do have a guest joining me. Now, my guest today he is the creator of Anarchy for aday.com, where he redefines anarchy as a tactical definition. Now, differentiation. There we go. Tactical differentiation. Organizations and carve out their own blue oceans with nearly of agency experiences and code. He's ideal for curious listeners and learned leaders. Now, adopted at birth, sober by choice, well-trained, and an occasional auctioneer. So we might even get him to, give us a little bit of that auctioneer style. Manspace Nation, give it up for my guest, Mr. Kyle Merrick.
Russ, thank you for having me, and rest in peace to your beloved co-host here.
Yes, though, Girl Scout cookie season is his weakness, and
those things are lethal, dude. Lethal.
Man, what's your favorite? What's your go-to?
Oh, I'm a Thin Mints dude. I'm not claiming any level
Really?
of creativity here. Those are just it's tried and true for me.
Now, do you like them in where you take them and freeze them, or you just straight out the box?
Well, here's the deal. I'm a little sensitive in my mouth area, so I don't freeze them. I'll pop them in the fridge though, because cold. That's a chef's kiss to me.
Love it. Love it.
What's your go-to?
Ooh, I love peanut butter. So the Do-si-dos. I love those. And it was so bad. I went to a store and I happened to see Girl Scouts at both entrances of the store.
Oh, they get you cornered.
And I was like, there's no way I'm stopping. I was like, forget it. I'll go somewhere else.
That's a straight up, that's a tactical disadvantage for you. They have triangulated you and they're like,
oh yeah,
you cannot exit without speaking with us.
And they're so cute. And it's hard to say no to them. And I did. So I'll go somewhere else rather than even try to face them.
Isn't that why they make DoorDash, so that we don't have to deal with the Girl Scouts?
Absolutely. That's it right there. That's DoorDash's slogan right there.
That's the campaign that no one can use.
Cookies for sale. Only $5 a box. Would you like to support the Girl Scouts today?
DoorDash, saving your waistline from Girl Scout cookies since 2020. You know what? I need to clip that and put that one out there. Maybe we'll make $1 million right off of that.
DoorDash, just call us. We'll gladly help you with that campaign.
There you go. Listen, Kyle. So you have an amazing voice, and I've been,
ditto you, brother.
Thank you. But your voiceover or acting. Now, how did you get started into that?
Voice I had to listen largely to just what people were saying. So like I did one of the very like initial ways that I actually learned how to talk to people was through doing sales. And so what this really consisted of, so I'm originally from Chicago. And so years and years ago, there was a company called the Chicago Trolley and Double Decker Bus Company.
Yeah.
So it was city tours through trolleys and double decker buses. Simple concept. There's maybe like 12 or 15 different key stops at different sort of touristy points in what's referred to like the Loop in Chicago. And so there's always a couple salespeople, at least one, depending on how like hot that specific stop is. And so with the booth, his like us in these little tiny like red vests and like white polo, khaki shorts, like we were sexed up to the max. It was great. And so we'd have our little like fanny packs and all that stuff, which had flyers and our little like credit card swiping thing. And the point was, we had to just simply go up and approach people and just say, "Hi, would you like a city tour?" And then we had our little spiel and all that stuff. And some days there would be such a deluge of just nonstop people. Like you catch the right kind of weekend where just everybody's out. It's nonstop that you are speaking with people. And so by the end of that day, the voice gets a little coarse. You gotta get into that like grumbly zone. And some people were kind of like, "Dude, you got like a radio voice." I'm like, "Well, thanks. It's gonna hurt tomorrow, but thank you." And that was like, I didn't do anything about it at the time. It was simply just, I heard it, I acknowledged it, and then I kind of kept hearing it in different instances. And then a couple different women that I saw, I'm not going to suggest how many, but they started saying something similar. Like, "I like the sound of your voice," because largely I would just, one of my favorite things to do is just read a book, like, cuddled up, like aloud.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, I find it a highly romantic moment there. And it's in those instances that they're like, "God, the voice, you have to do something with it." And then I more or less reached a point where I was like, all right, well, I shut down my marketing agency because AI is just ruining everything and whatnot. And so I was looking for a full-time job. I didn't find anything. And so in that whole self-exploration, the concept of, okay, well, if the entrepreneur has gotten to the point where he says, "I have to find a full-time job somewhere else to sell my soul," that takes soul searching. It takes grieving. I'm no longer going to be working for myself. So what is it that I need to do in order to be able to work on behalf of somebody else? In that process, I really kind of just reached this, like, screw it. Why not point? Where like that one lingering dream of like, what if I just became an actor, a voice artist? What if? And then a friend connected me with an agency, and because I have an improv background and had been a public speaker for like a decade plus, had auctioneered a bit, agencies like, "Cool, we'll take you. Let's do it." So that spun up everything. And that was maybe just over a year ago by now that I actually started taking acting seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So the auctioneer.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably get asked this, but I got to hear. Can you give us just a little bit of it?
Well, see, that's because you're not the only one to ask this, and I know what you're asking is like, can I do I can't do it. That's it. You're closer than what I would get to if I tried to. So the reality is, like, I think all different auctioneers, they all have their own style, their own techniques, whatever. And, I've had the pleasure of learning from one very learned auctioneer and, ironically enough, a drag queen who is extraordinary at what they do. And So I'm very simply, I just listen to, what really smart people have done. I don't care like what your background is, how you operate, because the same sort of like underlying foundational tactics are being used. The same goal here is pit the affluent against the affluent and then let them play together. All you have to do as the auctioneer is just inspire whatever happens at that moment. And to me, I love that. Pitting the rich against the rich, it's great.
Yeah.
Because it's for a good cause. Either way, we're winning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I'm just sitting there listening and I'm just like, yeah, Rockstar Games needs to hit you up because there's got to be like something within Grand Theft Auto or something that you can just do a character for. Yeah, it's got to be there.
Dude, I mean, like voiceover, like the pinnacle is doing games. Like if they are like, all right, we'll take the look and all that stuff. Like we need the Merrick special here. I'm like, I'm in. I'm so totally in.
Yeah. Did you have anybody who you wanted to adapt your style from?
That is a very interesting question. I don't think I've had that asked in podcast format, but somebody in acting class sort of posed a very similar question. And the honest answer, and I don't mean this in a truly cocky sense, like there have been a tremendous number of actors, actresses that I've watched, throughout the decades, and I find them to be beautiful individuals, the way that they deliver and craft their different characters and whatnot. But I have never sought myself to like model myself off of these individuals. Whoever I am, perhaps this is really inspired by this path of, entrepreneurship is just, I'm carving my own way. And I've apparently been told I have some interesting quirks, and that's what acting is. It's largely, it's just whoever you are, whatever you bring.
Yeah.
We need that for the character. So do that. And don't you dare be ashamed of it.
Yeah.
So that is what you achieve, essentially.
Awesome. Now, when you go out on to auditions for acting roles, have you ever been posed with something that you were just kind of uncomfortable with?
Well, there's very little that I'm not comfortable with. Like I have been, for instance, a nude model for a drawing class. I am literally fully exposed to the general public, and that itself was a barrier that I needed to get over. I did, and in that setting, it makes sense. It's a very respectful crew. That's the new job that's been around for centuries, and so it's the consideration. If discomfort comes into the conversation ever, it's really just a thinking about like, okay, how does this reflect on my own personal brand? Because the art of storytelling means that you're going to have good characters and you're going to have nasty characters. And the nasty ones are what for some people can't sometimes separate from like the individual. Just because I play a critically bad character doesn't mean that I, Kyle Merrick, am a bad person. It simply means I can just bring life to that role. So that's the consideration is like, okay, am I going down a path that is like going to be agreeable? Am I going to be typecast? Like, okay, so don't take any of this the wrong way, because this is getting into a racial territory and this is not meant to be, but this is a reality that, all right, you throw a little Southern twang on and turns out having like the racist Southern like landowner for like the earlier 1900s productions, for a while, I was like, those were roles that I could do really well.
Right.
I'm not terribly proud of that, and I was actually kind of worried, like,
would people see me as
because it's not intentional, but it's realistically part of the narrative to help bring the reality of those different circumstances alive. So that
oh my gosh,
that's it.
Just to kind of pause you for a second there, that made me think of, I think it's Michael Rappaport.
Okay.
When he played in The Program, I believe it was The Program he played in. And it may not have been Michael Rappaport. I may have to look this up, but forgive me, Man Space Nation, if I'm saying the wrong person, but I think it was him. And he played in
emails for this, man.
Right. But he played in this movie, the program, and he was this racist character. And for the longest time, like I saw this at a young age, and I'm just like,
God,
no,
just yeah.
I just could not, because you know, it's like you're saying, sometimes people do get typecast, and the viewers have a hard time differentiating the person from the
Yeah.
character. And so, you know, I'm seeing this person as young, and I'm just like, I don't like him.
Yeah.
You know, and anything he was in, I don't want to see it. You know,
Mhm.
just because of how this character was in this movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's you know, that's the reality. But it's also props to that individual, because that means that
Mhm.
he brought
Yeah, he was very believable.
something to it. And
Yeah.
racist or not, you
Mhm.
know, well, there you go.
Yeah. Wow. 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 So going from there, you know, what is your ideal role?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I've said, you know, I've only been taking this on for, you know, a year, really, just
Mhm.
over. And then, that's nowhere near long enough to
I
be able to
can
say, like, I have an ideal.
I can wave a red flag right now, a magic wand, and say, there's any movie out there that can be recreated right now, and I will cast you as whatever character.
It's a very interesting question. There's so many different movies and so many different characters,
Mhm.
like, because I hate to say it, I'm not really standing around saying, like, boy, am I waiting for, like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Keanu Reeves to just bite it so I can get on in there. No, he's extraordinary. You know, the
Yeah.
folks who've done it, they've done it, and chances are
Mhm.
nobody else can really do it the same way, nearly as
Yeah.
well either. So, you know, the reality is, I love every single role I take on, and each their own
Mhm.
way, you know, because it's still a
Yeah.
moment of self-expression.
Mhm.
And within the confines of, like, all right, well, I'm a white cat, so it's like,
Mhm.
okay, there's still
Yeah.
Space Force on screen.
Mhm.
But, you know, within that sort of vertical,
Mhm.
I can spruce up the you know, antagonist, but I can also be the lovable, you know, protagonist, or the dude who just
Mhm.
struggles through life, the con man. I don't know, you know,
Right.
different
Right.
characters. That's the fun, is taking on different personalities for me.
Mm. Now, is there a certain actor or actress that you would just love to work with?
Well, I mean, there's so many, and chances are, you know, I probably have one of their DVDs or Blu-rays laying around. There's, you know, the Christoph Waltz, Keanu Reeves, to, um, I mean, heck, I even go back to, like, Hugo Weaving, you know, V for Vendetta, but I don't know if he's doing all that much work, you know, these days. I haven't seen him that much. Um, I mean, but you know, the Margot Robbie's, heck, Jennifer Lawrence, any of them would be just extraordinary
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
in a scene with, because these are just
Yeah.
people who, uh, you know, the team, the individuals, from both production but other cast, the
Yeah.
team is largely like, that's what's going to define how good this picture
Mhm.
is, you know, picture to series,
Yeah.
whatever. And you know, the people that have prepped, the people that do the work,
Yeah.
show up on time, lines ready. That, dude, I'm in
Mhm.
easily.
Now, have you gotten starstruck by anybody that you've met?
Well, I haven't had the pleasure of working with, like, truly, like,
Mhm.
huge names.
Mhm.
Um, I've come across some annoyingly attractive people that,
Yeah.
like, that's just for me to, like, well, I have to operate with you. So, uh,
Right.
weird
Right.
as my stomach might be about just simply being in your presence, I have to get through that.
Right. Right.
And but you know, the reality too is, I don't quite understand why, um,
Mhm.
like, human society have, like, put, like, actors, actresses on such a
Yeah.
pedestal, because at the end of the day, we're all just humans that
Yeah.
aren't even ourselves. The
Yeah.
moment that you see them, I'm not even going to roll myself into that yet. But the moments that you see these folks, these greats, your, individuals that you would consider to be an icon, a hero, whatever, that ain't them. That's somebody else's character. That's somebody else's writing that they have crafted that exact moment to deliver you on a very specific silver platter. So I don't know. We're simply just people who get out of the way of ourselves. So that we can let the character breathe. Like, that's it. And to me, that, what I look for, just the people that are good at doing that, because that means it's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun to play with them.
Have you run across anybody at this point, and you don't have to say their names, but they were, that you had one impression of them, but when you actually met them in person, like, oh, this person is actually, like for me, I met Khloe Kardashian.
Okay.
Right. And nicest person could be, Joan Rivers, completely amazing person. Right. But, you see them, on TV and the way they are, you just like, little indifferent toward them. But when you meet them in person, they were just such really, really nice people.
It is also like, working with somebody too, like, so let's think about the entrepreneurial path. Like, as a marketer, what this means is I've become good at reading people quickly, and largely because I make judgment calls based on different patterns that I've seen over the years that are largely true. Some people do break the mold, and I always appreciate that because it breaks my own cycle of thinking. But I like, this happened actually very recently. I was working with somebody, and I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a slog. Then that's as we were just rehearsing. By the moment that we get to the scene, everything's there. Tears to the feelings to, everything. I'm just like,
this person's a real pro.
Well, and shame on me for judging. This is simply this individual's process of, absorb it slowly and then let everything sort of marinate. Everybody's got a different way. And I should not judge as probably harshly as I did, but
I think we all get a little guilty of that one at times, and then it's like, you know what? I was a little quick to judge on that one.
Yeah, I'll give you a hall pass this time.
Yeah. Actually, one of my good friends played in that movie. Hall pass.
Oh, hall pass. the sneeze is the sneeze seen around the world.
Yeah. He was the cop that was watching the guy.
I got to watch it again because I
We'll talk about it off air.
Okay.
But listen, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to reset, and we'll be back with more of the Man Space Podcast. So we are back with our special guest, Mr. Kyle Merrick. Now, you have a whole coaching program. I was looking at your website. Tell me a little bit about the program and in what you're actually trying to accomplish, because, the Anarchy for a Day, what is that about?
So Anarchy, it is to promote this idea that societally, we live in a space and a time that doesn't quite value the individual anymore. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know what era just kind of said, we need the sheep to just go along with how things are. And that's how things are going to function the best, with only a few key, leaders kind of calling the shots. So essentially, Anarchy is to suggest that the individual is innately the bit of anarchy.
Yeah.
Because it's this moment of difference when, if everybody goes left, but you end up going right by separating yourself from everybody else. And now we're speaking beyond society, and we're bringing this into the business world too. What that means is no longer are you fighting with the other sharks in this red ocean. You've found yourself a blue ocean, which means you're sort of in an ocean of your own. You're doing your own thing. And that is the extraordinary bit that anarchy is meant to promote. So it, in essence, a brief sort of narrative just to kind of like illustrate it more simply. All right, so Sophie, she wants to have a lemonade stand. And so a lot of kids on that same block, they've always put their lemonade stand right smack dab in front of their parents' house. And so everybody that goes by that day, they become the respective clientele, and that's all fine and good. But Sophie says, well, what if I want more people? What if, instead of just right in front of my parents' house, what if I set up in front of my dad's construction site? Those guys are working. It's blazing hot. They're thirsty, and they got the dough. So she literally put herself smack dab in front of a very thirsty market. And so by doing that little bit of just rethinking, it's the same model. We're not, there's no special sauce with this lemonade, concoction. She's not pouring vodka, and these guys aren't loopy after it. But that tiny bit of rethinking, of repositioning, re-engineering, that's anarchy. The people that apply anarchy in a very tactical instance, that is the idea. That's the promotion. And that's how I sort of seek to just continue inspiring anybody who I get to call a client of mine. And so, largely the idea is, all right, I took essentially my experience as a marketing agency owner, spooled it up into an educational program. It's literally my entire knowledge base in one course. I call it a BA in digital marketing, Bachelor's of Anarchy. And we just fly through it. And that is to say, I need to equip, the entrepreneurs, the makers, the individuals that are like, I'm the only one. This is my calling, but I know that I need to kind of knowledge up. And so my job is to educate these folks with the marketer's knowledge so that they can navigate their own waters with the same savvy know-how and, whatnot to determine, okay, well, when I'm met with other marketers perhaps along the way that say, okay, this is going to be the right solution for you. Some of these marketers are very, very compelling salespeople. So for the entrepreneur that doesn't quite know, maybe if this marketing solution is right for them and they're faced with a compelling sales pitch, that could be very, very troubling. They could fall into a huge money pit. So the idea simply being, the more that you understand for your own marketing sake of your product, your target market, who you're talking to, the more easily you're able to navigate the good, the bad, the ugly as you encounter it.
So who's your ideal target for this program?
What I've found are they are people who are largely the makers, the individuals that are like, because there are the marketing agency, they do. The coach teaches. And so in other words, I'm helping these folks learn how to more or less fish for themselves versus essentially filleting, cooking, and serving up the fish for them. So the maker is a very key component. And, these individuals are like, we have, good tools, we got AI, and good, use the AI. We're in a space and time that we need to, within reason and bound. It's just a matter of how and when we apply it. And then, where do we refine it with that human eye? So the maker, the entrepreneur, heck, we can go to, businesses and CEOs on a larger scale as well. If these companies have been around for a while and perhaps they're frustrated with their marketing team and whatnot, then we will take on more of a marketing role too. And sometimes even, rebranding these companies if they're in such a spot. So it's largely situational. but we need the makers. We need the folks who understand that they should be knowledging up whenever they engage with a marketer, because marketers largely just say, you know what, you guys just stay over there. We'll handle this for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't ask questions. Please don't. We'll make it right.
Right.
And the marketers that do that should be very distrusted. So if you, listener, have one of those in your pocket, a team or an individual, then, well, start hitting them with questions and start window shopping.
Now, what got you into this space?
Largely marketing, consulting. Well,
from the standpoint of you actually being the coach instead of, just being,
Initially, I'm going to rewind the clocks back, way, way back. It's my little papa. Dad was in marketing and advertising. So he did the whole, he was more kind of like in the Mad Men era of things. That was marketing, advertising. He ended up retiring in law firm marketing, and he did something very impressive. He managed to make law firm marketing funny. You know how hard that is?
Yeah.
Lawyers are just like, no, we are serious. We take our jobs seriously. We cannot have fun at our job, God forbid. So that impressed me. That impressed the socks off me. And so, I studied graphic design, graduated with that, went directly into sort of corporate as a graphic designer, and just found this is sort of a singular task that I'm doing for one company. And it was just awful, truly. And then I ended up at a small design agency that had the marketing agency structure. And that structure means that we, had Coke, I think Pepsi actually, but Pepsi, local publications. This is in Columbus, Ohio. And it was a Black-owned agency too. And so these guys were defining the Black culture when I was working with them. And so that just showed me, this opportunity to get to work on numerous different accounts with all kinds of people. This is the essence of what marketing is. This is what keeps me going. And inevitably, I just kind of reached a point where I was like, all right, I kind of want to go learn more. And I kind of figured, okay, well, if I venture off and start doing this for myself, freelancing, then that'll be the fastest way to knowledge up. And what I didn't realize is how much of that would be through failure, but here we are. So how I ended up here is that, all right, well, about a decade ago, that's where I kind of spun up the first iteration of the marketing agency. Then it was about Thanksgiving 2024, so November-ish. And that's when I closed the doors on it, because largely there was just, we didn't have the huge agency name. And, these days there's not enough trust in marketers that, people aren't hiring stateside. If AI comes into the frame, then we couldn't lower costs enough to even play with that. So there were a number of different reasons that I just said, you know what, this is no longer the right product for today's marketplace. So I shut the doors, and I get back to that moment in time where I was like, all right, I have to mourn the fact that I'm no longer working for myself, because I have to go find a full-time job. And within that, that's where I found acting. But the other component is that as I was applying for all these different positions, I was finding nothing but, very simply, no success. Or if I did find success, it was always with the wrong companies. And so in that, I hired a coach for myself, because I figured, okay, well, I'm clearly, as the applicant, the issue. So how do I straighten up and do this better? So in the very first conversation I have with this coach, she says, well, look, I know we're here to fix your resume, but I could see you as a coach. Just saying, man, knowing your knowledge base and how you operate, it's very similar to me. And I'm like, well, coming from you, that's high compliment, but I can't see another business. That's why you're here. So okay. That same week, the Colorado Nonprofit Association, they reach out, they invite myself and a colleague to build out a single day in-person boot camp for their entire member base, where we spoke about marketing and fundraising. So now I have this little seed plant of, okay, try coaching. And then I'm also building out course materials for the nonprofit association. And so this reality of, well, what if I just become this educator figure is really like coming to life almost immediately. And the rethinking that I had to do was say, okay, well, I've been a marketer. This knowledge base that I've had for the last decade, how the heck do I spin this in, a direction where people that don't have my background, my sort of way of thinking, how can I spool this up in a way that other people can understand this the same way? And so I literally started building out this course. And that way of rethinking, I was like, this is just complete and utter anarchy up here. And that's where things kind of really clicked.
Wow. And by the way, it was not the program. It was higher learning. I have the right actor. I had the wrong movie. The lead actor was the same in both movies, but it was higher learning that he played it.
Got it. Okay.
All right, Man Space Nation. You don't need to send me any hate messages now. I got it right. It's higher learning.
Yeah.
We're good now. So with the coaching program, walk me through the steps that you take a person through as far as what's the methodology between getting them to that next level.
Sure. Well, I mean, initially there has to be some getting to know each other sort of phase. Mostly me getting to know them. They inevitably they'll spend time with me and they'll get to know my inner working. So it's I'm less worried about that. And there's other podcasts, and I have a social media presence that has a reasonable bit of personality in there, so you can understand me. But the most important bit is that I have to understand you. The entrepreneur, the maker. What are you doing? What's your product? What solution are you providing to these folks? What do they care about? Or do they know that they need you? Is this a new concept to them? And so that base sort of framework, that understanding, that then informs the entire conversation, regardless of whether or not we're going through like the prescribed sort of the BA in digital marketing or simply just one-on-one coaching. The base level understanding of, okay, who are you? What's your product? And who are you serving? What resources do you have available? And this is people, both stateside, abroad, and how much money do you have to be able to spend on this stuff? Marketing ain't cheap. So within that is what then provides essentially the ground for us to walk on as we essentially start, exploring this process. From there, it's a matter of, all right, well, okay, we literally start from the ground up. So this is to say the mission, the vision, values, the brand. We need to have a very clear understanding of what all of this is, because as we build, this is essentially establishing what I refer to as like the North Star. And that North Star component, this is the core essence of you, your business, what you value, what you represent. And so any question in your mind, you can always harken back to it and say, okay, well, does this align with the mission of the organization? Then from there, that's the messaging, how that all comes about, understanding the market, figuring out, okay, how are we communicating to them? Then, figuring out, okay, well, if we have to build a presence, how do we do that? How do we build messaging around this so it makes sense? How do we leverage AI? How do we refine our presence so that we can take care of, all the necessary search engines for SEO, AEO, all that stuff. Inevitably there's more too, but it's apparently late enough in the day that I'm even blanking on what all. But there's a number of different sections, and the essence is this is all the stuff that you need to be aware of.
Yeah. So a lot of people who are in, I guess, my realm of the podcasters and a lot of people that are the creators, SEO is a big thing, but a lot of them don't understand it. can you just kind of explain what SEO is?
Sure. I was explaining this to a client earlier today. So there's SEO and AEO. And so we're going to start with the acronyms. And then by the end of this discussion, we will just initially just forget about those acronyms, because we can kind of distill it down in a slightly different way. So SEO, search engine optimization. AEO, ask engine optimization. So search engines, Google, that's it. Google is king still. Google acknowledges singular keywords. And so man, space, podcast, like 3 keywords that you reuse ad nauseum. That's SEO, like what you need is to acknowledge, whatever, if you talk about marketing or acting, the key discussion points, so that as people are looking for podcasts, then Google can essentially scrub the web and find your podcast as being sort of a leader in that space. Now, ask engine optimization, slight difference, same concept. This concept is to say, okay, things like, now if I referenced like GPT, it's to say it's just for example's sake. I'm not suggesting it's king. I'm not suggesting anything else. Don't have to use it because I'm talking about it. It's just one example, and there's a litany of other ones out there. So essentially, these operate in like a query-based sort of format. So it's more human in the way that you interact with it. So just as you and I are having a conversation here, Russ, it's like, where would I go to find a podcast that talks about both marketing and acting? That's maybe a query that somebody would punch in AI. And to have AI essentially find your podcast and acknowledge it, essentially the verbiage in the spaces, the key spaces that you talk about it, the verbiage has to be spelled out in conversation format. And you still have to answer that question in such a way that these ask engines will say, okay, well, they are also an authority here. So that's the very key, bit. And so if you essentially structure things conversationally and you implant keywords to ensure that, man, space, podcast, marketing, acting, like if those are the keywords, make those all apparent in the the way that you're structuring the verbiage, you're taking care of both. And so AEO, SEO, forget about those acronyms now, because all you need is keywords and all you need is sentences. Now, the reason that you're a good storyteller is because you use the right verbiage so that you, the listener, are tuned in. They got to hear the certain, words to keep them engaged and listening. So, you don't really need to get caught up in the acronyms. It's really just a conversation. You're telling a story. You're educating your people. You're saying this is what we do, and this is where you can find us. That's it.
Yeah. So how would you differentiate using keywords versus using a hashtag?
Hashtags, I'm not completely hip on where social media is these days, because hashtags largely that has spun out of the social media sort of realm. So the reason I'm not hip on this is because each of the social medias is their own domain. And so they change the rules.
They change the rules constantly.
Whenever they want. And I'm not going to waste time trying to keep up with that. It's simply just do research. Go find it on Reddit. I don't know. I have better things to do with my time. The reality is hashtags are essentially like establishing different buckets. And buckets to say there is one single conversation happening here, and it does not talk about anything else. In that bucket, there's a different conversation, and same concept for every other bucket. Each bucket is a hashtag. A hashtag is a conversation lane, a point of interest, and you can get as specific as you want, but the more specific you get, the fewer people will be tuned into that. And if that's what you want, perfect. You found yourself your micro market. But if not, then you hopefully marketing, hashtag marketing, extremely broad. So if you say digital marketing versus, I don't know, infomercial.
Right. So it's finding an audience versus finding your target audience.
Largely, yes. And the reality is, the better that you know the individuals that you're talking to, the better crafting you can do when it comes to hashtags. But I'm not even positive that what I'm seeing or hearing, at least through the grapevine, is that just these platforms are devaluing hashtags. Largely, it just comes down to the content of both what is typed in the description portion and then what's actually said in the video or the text on the screen.
I think one of them is either TikTok or Instagram, one of the two. They limit you now to 5 things that you can put in there for hashtags. And I think at one point you could put 20, 30.
Yeah. So that's the reason it's a hashtag's it's kind of the definition and the use, but it's it's something that the companies that started them are now just we don't need them. The underperforming intern, kick him out.
You mentioned briefly AI. Now, what with AI, they have AI marketing, they have AI agents for you now. They have so many things out. I mean, you can use to answer your email for you, respond to people, act as your whole assistant, do your scheduling, your programming, your editing for you, the whole works.
Be your girlfriend or boyfriend if you want it to be.
Yes.
And they won't talk back to you. They'll give you what you want to hear.
Yeah. What are your thoughts when it comes to this ever-changing AI world?
Well, there's 3 perspectives. I think that because I've been asked about this a number of times on different podcasts, and my goal, I understand it's a podcast setting. I'm trying not to get too bleak, but I'm a hardcore realist, and so here's sort of the 3 bits that I've kind of came to just distill down based on the here and now. Investors, go invest in it. Business owners, invest in it. Fire your employees. You're going to save a heck of a lot of money. You're going to automate it. There's going to be largely less mistakes, but things will start looking a lot like everybody else. Creatives should lobby against it. I'm in that 3rd boat because I'm a hardcore creative at heart. And you can't call yourself an actor and not call yourself creative. Those are the 3 realities that we live in. And I acknowledge sort of all of them because I'm also an investor, I'm a business owner, and I'm a creative. But for God's sake, anything within the creative industry, the reason I'm saying we need to lobby against it is because it's taking what we have developed and it's simply just more or less copying and pasting. So it's not developing anything new, which is massively problematic because true creative is what defines culture. That's it. That's the essence of creative, and AI is not putting that out there.
So what do you have upcoming? What upcoming projects do you have coming in?
This I can speak very loosely about because A, there's a number of them, and B, I'm not really able to speak specifically, but there's a team out in New York that's going to have me as their lead, and the kicker is I'm playing a dude who's the complete backwards opposite of me, which is going to be a little fun because he's a con man, but not okay. Think have you seen Catch Me If You Can?
Yes.
With Leo DiCaprio. So he's, he pretends to be this, but he's this beautiful con man. He's just sly and smart. And the guy that I'm playing is not that. He's a stupid guy who his whole goal in life is to do anything and everything that he can in his little mind to not work a corporate job. And in doing so, he makes just horrible decisions, just bad decisions. He has a wonderful girlfriend he's trying to get pregnant with, but he also has his favorite stripper. Maybe that puts something in perspective there. So it's the tale of that man, that fella.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different series that I'm in right now, and then just yesterday, I guess, I was handed the lead in another short film being shot out here in Boulder. So I'm a Denver-based actor, so I love to see that we're building more film and projects are happening here. We got Sundance coming, but I'm kind of part of this wave to say like, all right, well let's muscle up here, folks, because the more that we show up as a state, as a film community here, and we show, okay, we're ready to take on good work and we have talent, even though you probably wouldn't look to Denver thinking like, oh boy, there's some hot talent out there. That's the reality. We need to show up and say, we're here for you. So that's where this team out of New York is, they're pulling Denver talent. So, I'd say let's make it happen. Let's keep building. And I mean, the long and the short of it is, dude, I'm excited about everything that's yet to come. Because it means a lot that anybody has ever looked at me and said, all right, I think you're the dude.
Yeah.
That's kind of
awesome. That is such a cool feeling.
Yeah.
How can people find you, follow you, get more information about you, your coaching program, and things like that?
Well, I appreciate the question. Easy. So marketing wise, if you're curious about coaching, any of that, and anything Anarchy, best bet, anarchyforaday.com. And that's FOR, not like the number 4. Right. Then if you want to just simply follow me, it's kylemerrick.actor on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Those are the 3 that I traverse. So
awesome.
That's it. Easy.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, I mean, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, we have run through our time, but I definitely appreciate you stopping in, spending time with us. Much success to you and your future endeavors. Now, I do have one last thing for you, and it's called the last word.
And now, the last word.
So, if there is somebody out there that is struggling and wanting to make a change right now with their life, what would be your words of advice to get them up and moving?
Well, it's a great question. I'm going to spin it in an odd way because I'm not typically one to diagnose this, but situationally, and it's broad because we're not given many other parameters. It's really only when I truly understand sort of like the nuanced situations that I'll step in with any advice. But in this very broad situation, if listener, you are in a spot where, and these are tough times. Our acting coach half the time is like, y'all are bummed out. And I get it. These are weird bummer times to be in, man. So, okay, fine. A lot of people escape. How? Alcohol, drugs. The escapism is to say, okay, I'm kind of just turning my brain off because it just hurts to use it so much. Fine, I get that. Heck, I even got a buddy who's going through the toughest parts of humanity. I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, I stopped doing all that stuff 5 years ago. And to him, I'm like, dude, just...
Congratulations, by the way.
It's a public service. But I said, like, look, you need a break. If it means, hitting the bottle and just turning things off, fine. But if you are really going through a hard... I only say that to him because he's a tremendously smart individual, and he knows how to navigate some of the toughest waters that we as humans have made for ourselves, unfortunately. But for individuals that maybe aren't him, that aren't as adept or perhaps knowledgeable of our own selves, this is that moment where we need to listen. We need to listen to whatever is going on here, whatever is going on in here. And to do that, you can't be losing yourself into the substances. That's one of the toughest realities. And this goes for food too. Food is a substance like any other. It's a drug. And so the difficulty, especially for hard times, is saying, how do I moderate, this intake? And then how do I listen to myself? Because the moment that I stopped listening to me, that's when I actually finally started finding real tangible answers and figuring out, okay, well, this is maybe not easy, but it's going to work for me because I can develop habits. That largely is what this kind of process takes if you are in a very bleak spot.
Yeah.
So however you can do that, you need to find the people that will allow you to do that. And I wish you luck. And I'm not saying the right person for it, but find people that can support you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kyle, once again, thank you so much for spending time with us. We definitely appreciate you. And we're going to go ahead and close this out from here.
It was a pleasure, Russ. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. As we do each week, we like to close the show with just a little bit of inspiration. Making an impact isn't about being famous or having millions of followers. It's about being intentional with what you've been given, like your time, your voice, and your presence. You don't have to be in the spotlight to shine. You can change lives from right where you are. At your job, in your family, in your community, or even in the conversations that nobody else sees. You see, your impact isn't always loud. It's often quiet, steady, and personal. It's how you show up when nobody's watching. It's what people feel when they've been around you. That's the real legacy. So don't underestimate your influence. Don't wait for the right moment or a bigger platform. You are the moment. You are the platform. Keep showing up with purpose. Keep planting seeds, even if you don't see the harvest right away. Because trust me, someone out there is better because you decided to be bold, be kind, and be real. Manspace Nation, let your life say something. That's how you make an impact that lasts. Until next time, keep pushing, keep growing, and keep making it count. There it is, Manspace Nation. Making an impact is about doing something huge. It's about choosing every day, showing up with purpose, kindness, and courage. Every small action that you take makes a ripple that reaches further than we may ever see. Lift each other up, that stand for what matters, and then giving your best. We can all leave this world a better place than when we found it. So keep moving forward and keep believing that you can make a difference. And the smallest little action, the smallest little light, man, it goes so far to brighten the darkest room. Once again, Manspace Nation, thank you guys for joining in and checking out this episode. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button and so you don't miss out on anything. And then, Manspace Nation, it happens on every Thursday night on WTMSTV.com. It is Throwback Thursdays with back-to-back episodes of the Manspace Podcast. And then on Monday nights on WTMSTV.com, you can catch the latest episodes of the Manspace Podcast 2 days early before it airs to the rest of the world. WTMS TV, where every story has a stage. So Manspace Nation, hey, let's give thanks to our special guest, Kyle Merrick, and check out his website, anarchyforaday.com. That's anarchyforaday.com. And you know what, Manspace Nation? you know, Les will be back. He'll be back over his tummy ache real soon. But you know, those Girl Scout cookies was calling him. Until next time, Headspace Nation, we out of here.
No gimmicks, just game that my sure in sight. They shine like the city on a Friday night. Man talk, real talk, that's the way that you bless. Giving knowledge and some laughs in the same finesse. From life goes to the jokes that hit. They the tag team champs, yeah, legit with the wit. So pull up a chair, let the stress digest. From the beat drops, you know the rest. You go chillin' with Russ and